talk some Heritage High School football. Donnie Moore returns to discuss sports headlines from around the country, and the Boyd Sports Spotlight will shine on today's SEC football slate. And finally, the Bowl Prediction segment closes out today's show as the Goatees panel makes their pigskin predictions. And now it's time for the Cherokee Group UT Sports Report and the Murphy's Bobcat SEC Notebook featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons, Troy Provo-Heron, and Donnie Moore. And we're going to start off with Let Her Rip segment. And 2 weeks ago, the NIL gurus were alive and well in Utah as all the football players on the Utes football team were given new trucks, 85 of them in all. What the heck is going on here? I don't know. But anyway, I was thinking about all that, and I thought, well, how do you compete with that? If you're a small school around here, you got Maryville College, and you got Carson Newman, and you got Pellissippi State that's breaking into their sports deal out there, and you're thinking, well, how can they compete? So I put together a top 10 list.
All right.
A top 10 list for Let Her Rip today on what those schools can do to compete with the NIL elite program. So let's get it going here.
Let's do it.
Number 10.
Let her rip.
A box of Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, they're famous for their area. Everybody likes Krispy Kreme donuts, and give them a box. Number 9. A free Tennessee Smokies T-shirt from Goatees along with a night of axe throwing at the Smoky Mountain Axe House.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Always,
That's how you can weed out your
You
recruits.
can always,
Yeah, no kidding.
You can always count on Brian Johnston, to come through.
That's it.
Number 8, appear on the Goatee Sports page. There you go.
That's right. Guest appearance.
That may bring him in. The number 7 way that smaller schools can compete with NIL elite programs in the area, rent a car for an hour from Enterprise Leasing. My son, he works at Enterprise. We can get that arranged. Number 6, a one-night pass to the Parkway Drive-In Theater. And that's a good deal because now
you're talking about for the double feature? Or the
well, it gets dark earlier now. It gets dark at about, 6:30, 7 o'clock. So, you might be able to get 3 shows in if they got 3 shows. Number 5.
Triple feature.
Number 5, a Charlie Palaio autographed baseball card.
Oh,
cool. Those are tough to come by because Brian Johnston, he's got them all hoarded.
Yeah, he's hoarding them.
Yes, sir. He thinks they're crypto.
That's it.
Yeah.
They're worth about 78 cents right now, but they're on the rise.
Paleo crypto.
Yeah. Hey, the number 4 way the smaller schools can compete with the NIL elite program, a tour of the Smith Wesson plant.
Yes, sir.
That's not bad. They had
freshly opened.
Yes, sir, with all the big dogs.
That's it.
So, you got to be special to get in there, give them a tour. Number 3, a life-size poster of Taylor Swift in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform. We've seen her in everything else. Put the Kansas City Chiefs uniform on her and make a poster.
That's it.
Pretty good deal there. Number 2, I like this one. Troy, you might like this one. Pass one class and get 2 automatic A's in other classes.
I'll take that next semester. So
You graduate early.
I'll graduate early.
There's nothing like graduating early, huh? And the number one way smaller schools can compete with the
anticipation.
NIL, 1 free night to the Greenback Haunted Corn Maze.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
All right.
Maple Lanes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, on that note, I tell you, Greenback, the Maple Lane the corn maze is they have about 15 acres in there and with about a mile of trails. I was watching an article the other day of one in Minnesota that's reportedly the world's largest. They have 115 acres in this corn maze with 15 miles of trails.
There's still,
Wow.
there's
Can you
still,
believe
there's still bodies in there from last year.
Yeah, no doubt. Huge. Can you
Now-
believe that?
Now, we've made a little.
Wouldn't corn kind of get kind of boring after you've seen like 15 miles of it?
I would not go in that thing.
We've made a little fun of these freebies this morning, but I guarantee you this is more than we got.
You
Back
got
in the
it.
day, I'd take any one of these.
Heck,
back.
we don't even
All
get-
we got was blisters and sprained ankles.
Yes,
back in
sir.
our day.
Heck, Mike, we don't even get our donuts here at the sports page anymore.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You got a good point there. Yeah, you got to be recruited here locally. To
That's a
get
good
those.
top 10 list,
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah. Hey,
job.
let's talk a little bit about football. Tennessee, number 19th in the country. The fact they moved up and didn't play. Maybe it's better not to play. You just move on up in the ranking. 4-1, and they got Texas A&M at 4-2 coming in here. to Neyland Stadium this afternoon. The contest can be seen on CBS at 3:30. And Tennessee, the last I saw, was a 3-point favorite. Troy, what's the storyline going into this game?
You need to win.
Yeah.
It's a big game. I think Tennessee, obviously in a situation where when you lose that game to Florida, and we talked about this last time I was on, but like you now have to put yourself in a situation where every game becomes a must-win if you want to, set up that Georgia date second to last week of the season with an opportunity to go out there and try to win the East. And so, it's a big game, and Texas A&M obviously pretty talented. I'm not sure what their injury front is on their quarterback side and all that stuff. Got a familiar face in Walter Nolan coming back, and he's on a tear lately. I think he's got 4 sacks in the last 3 games, so somebody that they have to look out for in the middle of the field. But I think it's a game Tennessee should and probably can win.
Well, we're going to find out, Marcus, a little bit more about this Tennessee team. They lost to Florida. I think when they look back on the season, they're going to go, how in the world did we ever lose to Florida down here? Because I think Florida's going to end up at 500 at best before the season's over with. And at South Carolina, I don't know how good a win that is. We're all hyped about that win.
What are you talking about? That's your boy, Shane Beamer.
Well, they came in here all beat up.
Spencer Rattler, those are your guys.
I didn't think they were all that a good football team when they came in here. I thought they were okay, but they beaten. They lost to an unranked Florida team. They've lost to or beat a ranked South Carolina team. Now they got Texas A&M coming in here, Marcus, who's not ranked, but I think they got a pretty good football team. What scares me about Texas A&M is they're just going to line up and they're going to run the football. They're going to try to control the clock, and they've got an excellent defense, and they're going to defense you, and they're going to make you work on your offense, try to keep you off the field, and they know how to win close football games. And really, you take the Miami game away, and you talk about their defense. You look at last week against Alabama. They held Alabama 23 yards rushing. Now, they had 6 sacks in the game, but if you take away the sacks, they still would have only gotten 66 yards.
Yeah, but they also gave up a ton in the air. And that's what A&M's got, the number 1 defense in the conference. And what they've been very good at is picking what they're going to take away from you and taking it away from you. So they haven't given up 100 yards rushing and 100 yards passing in the same game yet. They've picked whatever they're going to stop you at, and they've been very good at doing that. However, if you're Miami, you just took what they gave you and beat them with it. If you were Alabama, you out-defensed them. When it came down to it at the end, they out-defensed them. So, it's going to be interesting. I want to see if that A&M defense – I don't think it's faced a challenge like Tennessee's offense, and I don't think Tennessee's offense has faced a defense like this yet. So I think that's going to be the interesting matchup.
Donnie, let's talk about Joe Milton a little bit here. Tennessee has not had really a close football game. The Florida loss was not really close.
No.
And the South Carolina outside of the first quarter was not really close either. Texas A&M, on the other hand, has played some pretty close football games. And they've come out of some of those games. But last week they lost to Alabama 26-20, but had every opportunity to win the football game. How big a factor it is to be tested in those close games in regard to a team that hasn't been tested, like Tennessee and Joe Milton?
It is very important, Mike. And I started to say Tennessee is still waiting for Joe Milton to take this team on his back and carry them. And he's not. He hasn't been tested yet as a true leader of this team, and we're still waiting on that to happen.
Yeah. And Troy, today they come back home. They're 4-1 on the year. Looks good, but they've been real top heavy with home games.
Yeah.
You got to say that Virginia was a home game, and this will be like their fifth home game of the season. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Those are games you have to win.
But the fan base at UT and how they get up there, that's a real advantage to play at home for them. But then they have to go on the road after this. But I don't even know after today if we're really going to know. It may be into next week and the week after before we really know what kind of football team Tennessee is.
Yeah, I think this is a big one just because if you go out there and lose today, I think it really takes some of that luster off of next week against Alabama, especially after you beat them last year. To go in there 4-2 going into Bryant-Denny, I think would just – it kind of feels like you're limping into it a little bit. Whereas I think if you win today with Alabama's struggles this year, especially offensively, you go on there pretty confident that you can beat that team. And if you beat Alabama for a second straight year, I think these 2 weeks right here are potential, and I'm not saying that Tennessee's been bad by any means these first 5 games, but you win these 2 games, this is a turning point in the season to where now you talk about how good you can be as opposed to kind of staying afloat like we have the first 5
We talked
weeks.
a little bit about this last week, Marcus, is that after they lost to Florida, every game then becomes big. It was Florida game's really a big game. It's really big. Then they lose the Florida game. Then every game becomes big.
Exactly.
This week it's Texas A&M, and as Troy said, next week everybody goes, this is really a big game against Alabama. And then if you get Alabama and say Kentucky's still ranked, and you go up to Kentucky, this is a really big game right here.
There is one that won't be big. The last game of the season.
Well,
against
and
Vanderbilt.
Connecticut.
Oh, and Connecticut. But Vanderbilt won't be big.
It won't be very big either. But that's what you get with that loss to Florida. If you're going to get things done as a team and get to the goals that you set for yourself before the year started. Texas A&M lost last week, 26-20. Donnie, what effect does that have on a football team? You know, coming off a loss and then going into a big game right after you lose a big game.
Well, you
especially
don't.
At home.
You talking about for Tennessee?
I'm talking about for Texas A&M.
For Texas A&M.
As far as their mental set coming in today.
Well, it's got to figure into it some, but you know, this is college football. This is not high school football or middle school football. So they're going to be ready. They're going to be prepared, and they're going to come into Neyland Stadium, one of the largest venues in the country, and they're going to be ready to play.
I think it really depends on the locker room you have, right? If you have a bad locker room and you lose a game like that, okay, the shoulders slump a little bit. You get a little deflated. If you have a good locker room and you lose a game like that, you get guys who say, okay, no more. Let's fix this.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to get up off the ground after you lose because you really know that the next game's important and you put it up. And if they'd beaten Alabama, they come in here with a high, and it's hard to come off that high and keep that 2 weeks in a row for two big games.
That's true.
So I don't know which is the best. It's kind of they're between a rock and a hard place, really, either way they go on it. But we'll see how they react when they come in here today. Joe Milton, do you think that the offense with Texas A&M doing such a good job of stacking up and taking the run, trying to take the run away from you, Tennessee's going to have to throw the ball today? He's going to have to really have a great game throwing the ball.
I mean, probably, but I mean, Tennessee wants to throw the ball. And so that has to be part of the game plan. I would, to Marcus's point, if I was Texas A&M, I would try to take away the throw and try to stop the pass and let Tennessee run it. I mean, Tennessee has been good running the football this year, but if you're talking about the thing that can beat you when it comes to Tennessee's offense, it's long balls, it's efficiency at the quarterback position, it's the passing game. It's not the running game.
Yeah.
Tennessee hasn't won too many games under Josh Heupel where it wins because of its running game. It's won a lot of games because of its quarterback play and its ability to get the ball downfield.
Yeah. Marcus, as we've mentioned, Texas A&M had 6 sacks last week against Alabama. Milton's a drop-back passer. Does this make it easier for a team like Texas A&M to go after him because he doesn't have as much mobility as Hendon Hooker had last year?
Well, he doesn't have as much as Hendon Hooker, but not many quarterbacks do. I mean, he's not a statue back there. He can move around.
Case in point, the very first touchdown last game.
I mean, we know he can move. What I think they've been working on with him more is moving the pocket in those situations and taking those 2 or 3 steps to one side or the other or in a design rollout and taking advantage of that. And I think they were doing a lot better job using him with that against South Carolina than we saw against Florida. And I think that's the wrinkle that they're going to have to continue to improve on, especially today, is they can't let him sit back there.
Yeah. Donnie, I don't really think that there's been any real surprise record-wise with this team. They're 4-1 right now, 5-0. I think that's about where a lot of people had them, don't you think? At this stage,
I think you're
going
right.
in that we're either going to be probably 5-0, or we're going to be 4-1. Don't you think we're about where we thought they were going to be, or not?
I think all of us did. Yeah. Maybe
so.
not, except for Charlie.
Yeah. Troy. They've played South Carolina,
teasing, Charlie.
And
love you.
They've played Florida in the SEC, 2 opposite performances. Of course, one of them was on the road, one of them was at home. Are we going to see a volunteer team today that's more like they played against South Carolina? are we going to see a Tennessee team more like they played against Florida? Florida controlled both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively, put pressure on the quarterback, got after him, and I don't know which one we're going to see today.
I think I personally really liked the way they responded after that Florida loss, and I think you add that response to having 2 weeks to prepare for this game and really trying to, hone in on some things during the bye week and whatnot. I think you get the better version of Tennessee today, and that's why I kind of expect them to go out there and win this game and set up an even bigger game next week against Alabama.
If you don't, they're going to checker the stadium over there. The fans can't take any blame for it. The coach can't get on like the Kentucky coach got on his fans for not giving enough money after they got shellacked down there at Georgia. But there'll be no blame going from the fans, because I expect it to be just as loud and just as raucous as it was against South Carolina. Although that was a night game.
Yeah.
This is a day game. May be a little bit different. I don't know, but. The enthusiasm is going to be unbelievable. Marcus, Joe Milton, we know that he can throw it from here to, I don't know, Kentucky or Michigan or whatever. But he's throwing a lot of short stuff. I mean, we haven't really seen the Joe Milton we thought we were going to see. We thought we were going to see the Joe Milton that really aired it out and threw it 70, 75 yards down the field and really spread the defense out so he could throw. But we really haven't seen that so far. Is that a coming attraction?
I think I don't think Tennessee has given up on the deep ball per se. I mean, they're still going to test you deep. But I think what we've seen is defenses are making their adjustment to the Heupel offense, which is they're trying to prevent you going over the top. They're going to let you go underneath. They're going to make that attractive and trust their linebackers to defend that. But what they don't want to do is what happened in Alabama last year, where Tennessee burned them deep time and time and time again, going over the top.
Yeah. One of the things, Troy, that concerns me right now about the Tennessee offense is the receivers.
Yeah.
We don't have the receivers we had last year.
No.
And with Brew McCoy going down with an injury now, somebody's going to have to step up. We're going to have some players step up with the receiver end of it. And it's no easy task catching Joe Milton's balls. I mean, they're coming out. And there's been a lot of drops. We fault him for being a little bit inconsistent throughout the year, but let's be fair about it. His receivers at times hadn't
dropped
helped
a
him
lot
out
of passes.
much.
Yeah. I think the big one that I think of is Squirrel White hasn't been the guy that I thought he would be this year. When you talk about Joe Milton's arm strength, how fast Squirrel White is, I figured that was a connection made in heaven, and it just hasn't kind of led to that yet. And I think when you talk about Brew McCoy being out now, Ramel Keaton kind of being more of a possession guy. I mean, he still has that, take the top off type of speed and stuff like that in his game, but he's kind of more of a possession guy at this point. You need a guy like Squirrel who can kind of stretch the defense a little bit, even if it's just to open things up in the middle, but he has to make an impact, whether it be catching the football or just doing things that put pressure on a defense. And to me, he's the most talented receiver they have. Who steps in for Brew McCoy today will be an interesting thing, if it's Thornton, if it's any of those other guys. But, yeah, it's not Jalen Hyatt. It's not the Biletnikoff winner. It's not, those guys.
No.
Cedric Tillman was, as good, if not better, than Jalen Hyatt on a talent perspective. I think Jalen Hyatt just had a great year, and that was a receiving core that is probably once in a lifetime how good it was. And so you have to find a way now to maybe temper some expectations for that, position group, but I still think that they're capable of more than they have shown to this point.
Yeah. Marcus, one area that has been extremely impressive is the Tennessee defense. So if you're looking at the Tennessee defense and what they've done this year, and then you're looking at the Texas A&M defense and what they've done this year, you're thinking, God, this is going to be an out-and-out slugfest today between two top defenses in the league, huh?
I won't say Tennessee defense has been good. They've been aggressive, and they've
made some big plays.
And they're certainly, I think there's improvement from last year. I'm not ready to call them a good defense because it's still very easy it's not nearly as difficult to score on them as it should be. But
let me hold you off right there just a second.
That aggressiveness is what I like.
In that regard, how would you compare the Tennessee defense to the Bama defense that A&M faced last week?
Alabama's much more sound defense and a stout defense, a hit-you defense. Tennessee is aggressive and coming at you from different places, but that's not the same thing as being afraid to run into the middle against them.
Yeah. Donnie, the defense of Texas A&M or the defense of Tennessee, I think is going to be stretched a little bit today because A&M has such balance. If you're looking at South Carolina, you're looking at, Spencer Rattler. You're going to try to control him a little bit and keep him from making the big plays and that type of thing. But with Texas A&M, they can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They got good balance on their offense. That makes it a little tougher on a defense, does it not?
It does, because you can't just look at one facet of the game. And their special teams are pretty good too. So, you got to make sure that you're looking at all facets of the game for A&M, and that's a Fisher, that's just a Fisher football team.
Something that the fans ought to look at today a little bit is the rhythm of Tennessee's offense, because I don't see that rhythm so far this year that I saw with Hendon Hooker and that offense last year. It was bang, bang, bang right to the line of scrimmage. Now there seems to be a little hesitation getting up there. Kind of looks like just a regular offense at times from regular team, Troy.
Yeah, I think what Marcus said about defense making adjustments and stuff like that. I think there has been, and look, I haven't talked to Josh Heupel, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think there has been more of a concerted effort on the fact of, hey, maybe we need to take just 5 more seconds, evaluate what defense we're facing here, and kind of see what we're doing with, because defenses are throwing so many different things at them to kind of not allow the 2-play 75 40-second drive, right? So I think that there probably is more of an effort to say, hey, let's just take a quick pause, let's evaluate some things, let's see what they're throwing at us, and let's make the right call for what we need to take advantage of that.
And some of that, you haven't seen nearly as many. I mean, we're still only midway through the season, but very few teams are willing to throw their secondary one-on-one out there against Tennessee right now. You've seen very little times where teams are going one-on-one coverage.
Get a lot of safeties over the top, a lot of zones.
So, some of the things they did last year, where they were hiding the receivers, having them line up like tight ends, and some of the schematic things they were doing don't work in that situation because you're running into a zone. You're not shaking that defender and leaving a linebacker behind you.
One of the ways you could shake Texas A&M, Donnie, with the fact that they play low-scoring games, they know how to win low-scoring games, they stay in there, they got the bounce attack, is to get off to a good start and make them play from behind,
right.
I would think. But we haven't come out of the gate very fast.
No, we traditionally haven't
this year.
This year, especially. Yeah.
How do you alleviate that, Troy? If you can make Texas A&M play from behind and start doing something offensively that they don't normally do, that'd be a tremendous advantage to your team.
I'll be honest, this might not be the game that happened just because, again, Marcus said, A&M's going to pick something to take away from you. And it's not like Josh Heupel knows what that is, and so coaches go into a game with a 10 to 15 play script, and this is the plays we're running to start. But if you don't know what A&M's doing, then you're kind of just trying to figure some things out as they're trying to figure some things out. And so I think there is a balance to that, and I think part of that fast starting thing from a year ago is the fact that we have to give so much credit to Hendon Hooker, how efficient he was, how he never made mistakes, how he seemed to always do the right thing. That's really hard to do at the quarterback position. You can look around the country in high school, in college, in the NFL. It's really hard to name 30 guys who just constantly make the right decision at all times. It's a rare dude.
And we talked about that a little bit with Joe Milton. In fairness to him, we're going to have to live with some of his inconsistencies. And with some of those inconsistencies, I'm talking about some interceptions along the line. And we've seen that early. With Hendon Hooker, it was flawless, almost flawless, except for the South Carolina game for the most part. So, sidelight, Marcus, 2 great bands. I'm telling you right now.
Well, that's a segue and a half.
A&M has got a tremendous band. I've never seen such discipline and organization and the maneuvers that they make. And, of course, Tennessee's band, I don't know who's the favorite in that. You think Tennessee's
well,
favored
it's
on the band
it's kind of like
deal?
football in that regard. I think you're going to have to give the home field advantage to the Pride of the Southland. That said, one thing I wanted to toss out here was A&M got a huge bonus last week, and it's something Tennessee can understand because they were the victim of it. Because there were, 9 false starts on Alabama because of that crowd.
Yeah. Good
well,
point.
Texas A&M is going to be on the receiving end of that today.
Yeah.
And 9 false starts could make a heck of a difference. If that crowd is loud and stays in it, that could be a real factor.
Yeah.
Because I think the Tennessee fan base saw what Florida did to Tennessee and has been anxious to do that to anybody that comes to Neyland.
Yeah. Running a little short of time right here, but Troy, I want to talk a little bit about the SEC East. Georgia, I'm looking at their schedule, and they don't have much left.
No.
I mean, really.
Tennessee.
They got Florida down there and on a neutral site. Pretty much everything else is at home. They got Mississippi at home. They got LSU at home.
Well,
and it's just
and
Tennessee.
They're going to play Georgia Tech, and that's the most dangerous team to take.
Yeah, but they're
against.
not in the
not.
league. They're not. They're not in the league. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can stick a fork in this deal, unless something really drastic happens. Kentucky, from what I see, I think they may slide. Florida, I think they're going to be 500 or best. I think Missouri's probably going to, I'm impressed with Missouri's offense, but boy, their defense is really susceptible. And South Carolina, I think they're going to end up, I don't think they're going to even make 500.
No, they might throw it in the tank.
I think so.
No.
I think so.
And Vanderbilt is the tank.
So, I know what the league looks at like right now, and I know it's early, but it's a Georgia-Tennessee deal right now, as we talk right now.
Yeah.
Now I don't know about after today, but I don't see anybody else in there. I think Missouri is somewhat a surprise, and if they beat Kentucky today, then Missouri can fight for a second place finish in the East. They got Tennessee out there. You got to kind of maybe look at that a little bit, but
I would say it's a 3-team race because I do think Missouri is capable of doing some things.
Yeah.
Did Missouri lose to Georgia already? I can't remember. I'm old.
I don't think they've played.
I don't think they've played yet. So I would say it's a 3-team race. I still think Missouri is good enough offensively to cause some problems to any of those teams on that list.
On the other side, Alabama, with their win at Texas A&M, they've got a very favorable schedule the rest of the way out too. And LSU and Ole Miss, they've already beaten Ole Miss. And Texas A&M, Auburn, Arkansas, they've already beaten Texas A&M, so they'd have the tiebreaker there. So Auburn, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. So really, if you're looking at Alabama, they've got LSU at home, and that's the only block. That's the only block they got in Troy.
Yep.
Over there in the West.
Yep.
I hate to make all these predictions that we're talking about the third game in the season, but the handwriting's pretty much on the wall.
Feels like
here.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about it down here in the SEC.
Right. Hey, we'll take a time out here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide high school scores and sports news from around the area, and veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons joins us with his feature, Mark It Down. You're listening to the GOTee Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
It's payday, and on payday, you want to have access to your money right away. When you enroll for direct deposit at Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union, your money comes to you with no waiting. It's the fastest and most secure way to get paid. Getting set up is easy. All you need is your account number and our routing number. Find out more at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Some restrictions apply. Ask for details.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093. We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. The Blue Tip.
Welcome back to the Goatees sports page, and it's time to bring in Donnie Moore. And Donnie, welcome back.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Glad to be back.
Yeah, we were on the edge of the mountain without you the last couple of weeks. So glad you're back. Hope you had a good trip, good time off. And,
I did, but I'm happy to be here, and let's get back to it.
Yeah, you got some high school scores there from last night. It's hard to believe that the high school football season and fall sports are just about over for the most part for some, and for others it's playoffs or movement toward a state championship.
Two more weeks left in the regular season.
Unbelievable. And still a little warm outside.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it got a little cool there toward the end of the evening, but it was still a very pleasant evening for high school.
But it's fixing to get football and sports weather next week.
It sure is.
Get cool.
Sure is.
It's all yours, Guy.
Thank you. Well, let's get right to the Mandy B. Street Realty local scoreboard. Last night in high school football, Alcoa hosted a region contest last night versus Scott County, and it was all Alcoa from the get-go, wasn't it, Marcus?
Well, what did it take? A second for the ball to get down there, and that's all it took for Eli Graff to go the other direction, 92 yards. And that one score was all it took to beat Scott last night.
Sure was. Scott County was shut out 49-0 by the Tornadoes. And like you said, it was the Eli Graff show for a lot
early.
Early in the game.
I think the thing that stuck out to me was I think Alcoa had about almost 200-something yards of offense. They had almost 180 yards in returns.
Yeah.
Because you had a kickoff return for a touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown, and a pick six for a touchdown. So they were just missing a fumble to get the quartet there.
To get the hat trick anyway. Or hit for the cycle, I guess you should say. But it was a good night on the for Alcoa. They inducted three people into the Alcoa High School Hall of Fame last night, and great evening.
It was, and I mean I wasn't familiar with all of them, but Billy Williams was out there. Mm-hmm. Great to see him back at Alcoa. Really is.
Sure was. One of them was old timer from 1950s. Lost a golf tournament to Jack Nicklaus. So
that's something you can always brag about.
I would be happy to lose a golf tournament to Jack Nicklaus.
The tournament comes down to you and Nicklaus. That's saying something.
Yeah, no doubt. But anyway, next week is the big one for Alcoa. Although it's not a region contest, the Battle of Pistol Creek next week at Goddard Field, Maryville High School. I know it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one, and I think it's that Bill Bailey Stadium has seen some renovation over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
It's got an expanded seating capacity, and I'm hoping it is going to be taxed.
Oh, I'm sure it will. There, you won't be able to stir the people with a stick, as the old saying goes.
They still paint that bridge over there?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got Alcoa Soccer in here. They're all going, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'll have several layers of paint on it by next week.
Well, that's a big tradition.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So it'll be a good ball game, I'm sure, and we'll see how it goes. Last night, Eagleton hosted South Green, a region contest, and boy, it was a good one. Marcus?
Yeah. It was really close, closer than I think a lot of people expected, because that South Green team was pretty much looking like they were going to, be challenging Hampton for the top seed in that region, and Eagleton gave them all they wanted and then some, but I think it came down pretty much to the point after battle. And South Green came out a little bit ahead on that.
Yeah, 20-19, South Green last night versus Eagleton. Eagleton was the only team that Scott County had beaten during the season last night.
Wow.
Yeah. That was back in week 2.
And, week 2, early in the season.
And Eagleton had to go up to Scott County. So I'll give them a little bit of break, because I think I said earlier today to somebody, if you're going from week 2 to week 9, I don't think anybody has made a dramatic jump in improvement as Eagleton has.
I agree with that 100%. 100%. Next week, Eagleton hosts Cosby. So hopefully that's not during the Ramp Festival.
We'll hope.
Yeah.
We'll hope it's not a couple days after it either.
Yeah, really. Okay.
It's hard to tackle somebody in that situation.
Greenback last night was during their open date, so they had a couple of teams did not play last night, Greenback being one of them. Next week, Greenback hosts Sunbright.
Now, we did the math last night. Sunbright has scored once this year.
Gotcha.
They're winless. They have been outscored 387-6 so far this season.
Greenback better play well then, hadn't they?
Yes, Greenback does not want to be the team that gives up the score to Sunbright.
Absolutely not.
But it is a region game, so it's not like Greenback
just
went and found Sunbright. And they need to win it, because it's vital they get that win that everybody's expecting for them to stay in the playoff picture.
In the hunt, that's right. Everybody's in the hunt for playoffs right now, or at least they hope they are. Moving on to Heritage. Heritage hosted Lenoir City last night, and the Mountaineers played well, obviously, offensively. Scored 35, dropped 35 on Lenoir City, and played pretty well defensively too, because they shut out the Panthers. Panthers didn't score on them.
And this was the game that kind of broke Heritage's season last year. So
yeah,
stick around for the second hour, because the Mountaineers are going to be joining us.
Good deal.
To talk about this game.
Good deal. We'll talk to Coach O, and we'll see how they did it. 35-0 Heritage. Next week is a Thursday game for Heritage. They're on Rivalry Thursday. You can see it televised. And they host Knox Central, another region contest for the Mountaineers.
Big one for them, and we'll see. We'll talk to Coach O about that, but it's kind of a must-win game if they want to look at the playoffs.
Bobcats come to town next week. All right, Maryville at Cleveland last night. Troy, you went.
First-hand experience.
I was there.
You went. 34-7 Rebels last night.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Kind of felt like, and obviously it's been a really hard year for Maryville with the injuries and just losing as much talent as they did a year ago too. And obviously I think there's a lot of people who have kind of buried them a little bit. And I think last night was kind of a statement of some sorts.
Emergence, as we shall say.
That, hey, we're not dead yet.
That's true.
And so they just – I talked to Coach Hunt yesterday after. I said, that's the first time all year you've looked like Maryville. Like the Maryville that everybody knows over the last 20 years, that's the first time they looked like it. And so – I think, is it a turning point? We'll see. Obviously, they got a really tough opponent next week. Alcoa is, as good as it gets in this state. And so, we'll see. But obviously, 2 weeks from now, you got to beat Farragut to make the playoffs. It's a situation that we haven't seen Maryville in 20-plus years, in a situation where they have to win or go home. And so, but But it seemed like last night they figured some things out that hopefully carry over to the rest of the regular season.
Good. Great job. Nice job. So Maryville 34-7 at Cleveland last night. Next week, Battle of Pistol Creek. We'll see how it goes. Seymour was open last night, did not play. They travel to South Doyle for a region contest next week. Hopefully they can get something done there.
We'll hope so.
We shall see.
They're running out of time.
They are. That's true. Kings Academy hosted Middle Tennessee Christian last night in a region contest. Did not fare too well. They got blasted 47-7 last night.
And TKA is reeling.
They are. They have not done well this
Troy's
year.
got a better insight on that huddle than I do, but young team.
Really young team.
Well, that's, there's no substitute for experience.
Nope.
On a football team. So hopefully TKA can remedy that for next season. Now, next week they travel to Oneida, take on the Indians.
And in most years I would say they could win that. I don't think so this year.
Okay.
It's going to be a tough uphill battle for Kings.
Good deal. And last night, the William Blount Governors hosted Dobbins Bennett. Some more Indians last night came to town and scored 3 touchdowns, put up 21 points on the Indians. But the bad news is Dobbins Bennett put up 46 on the Govs.
They only put up 7 the second half. I think that game was 23-14 at the half, something like that, and it was fairly close. William Blount played them really tough the first half, and then the second half it was a blowout.
Well,
Dobbins Bennett got 3 touchdowns called back.
Yeah.
And I think William Blount had at least 1 called back. So there was a lot of flags. That first half,
an ugly game.
It took an hour and 35 minutes. I think in the first quarter they threw 11 flags. In the second quarter it didn't get much better, and the halftime was long because they had to wash all the flags that they threw the first half. It was awful.
They had to launder the laundry.
Just awful. Somebody would run 90 yards, and then somebody would flip a flag out there, and then they had to go all the way back to the other end of the field. It was a long night, but Dobbins Bennett, a lot of speed. Defensively, William Blount continues to have problems on the defense. Their offense have shown great improvement,
right?
But in games for the most part this year, the defense, they're just giving up too many points, Donnie.
Well,
too many points. But they're what 5-3 right now. And they've got Saudi Daisy next week.
They
travel
very
winnable
to
game.
Saudi Daisy. And it's a non-region contest, though. The only region contest they've got left is Jefferson County.
And that's going to be tough up at Jefferson County. And if they lose that one, they're going to have a 6-4 record, and probably they're not going to go to the playoffs.
No, that's their
probably going
playoff hopes hinge on Jefferson County.
You're probably going to have teams in there with worse overall records, so that will obviously be a disappointment.
That will be.
So
that will be. So they still playoff hopes are still alive, but they hinge on beating Jefferson County.
But it has been a more upbeat year for William
definitely.
Blount football. We got to say that for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, this season continues, but we'll see how it goes. That's it for the Mandy B Street Realty Local Scoreboard. Now we're going to hitch our wagon with our veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons for his feature, Mark It Down. You're listening to WKCE 105.1 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. Marcus?
Well, thanks, Donnie.
You're welcome.
From the person who was trying to cover for you the last couple of weeks, I am so glad you're back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
I wish you'd come back with more of a tan from Florida, but,
it looks like you stayed inside all week, huh? Were you sick?
Does.
Nope.
But
you just went to restaurants.
You got a big umbrella on
went for the
beach.
food. Went for the food.
So
seafood.
Well, I'm just glad you're back, and I know Alcoa is glad you're back because, I sat next to you, and that's a heck of a job you do on the announcing.
I appreciate
over there.
that.
But we have Alcoa guests this morning. Alcoa Soccer is joining us this morning, coming off a district championship win this week. We have assistant coach Ballman with us, and then we have Bianca McGee and Annalise Earhart. Coach, I'm going to put you on the spot because why not? Because you get the big bucks for this, right? 1-0 win over Lenore City has to be kind of empowering going in the region tournament to get a close win like that and be tested.
It was because now we get to host this region match, and it's going to be important because if we had to go down there, we'd have to go to Signal Mountain, and it's a 2-hour drive in the middle of the school week. And so those are always tough. It almost gives you like a goal and a half advantage if you get to host a game.
So how is the region tournament going to break out? Who do you all get, and what night will that be?
It's Tuesday night at 6:30. We play Saudi Daisy, and we have to win to advance, and then we would play the winner of Lenore City and Signal Mountain on Thursday.
Oh, that will be determined by seed, or will you all get to host that, or?
It's one of those things where if it goes back and forth, and so this rotation, it rotates to us as long as we win.
Okay.
Obviously.
So mark those on your calendar. Postseason dates for Alcoa to come out and support the Lady Tornado Soccer. Looking at the wrong piece of paper here. Got a couple captains with you here this morning.
Yes, we do.
Kind of introduce them as to what they bring to the team and where they're playing for you.
This is Bianca McGee. She's our goalie. She has really grown the last couple years as a goalie, as a vocal leader. As the goalie, you can see the field better than anybody, and so we need that voice in the back, and she's done a great job of not only developing as a player but developing as a leader and just directing the girls. And then we have Annalise Earhart. She's also one of our captains. Honestly, I'm really proud of her. I think she's really grown with her leadership and just being a mentor for some of our girls, because we've had several injuries that we've dealt with, kids being sick. Even against Lenore City, we found out like that day, early in that day, that two of our starters weren't going to be able to participate due to illness, and it's something we've dealt with all year. And both of our girls that are sitting here that have been good leaders as far as like motivating the kids and helping the kids step up that need to step up in those roles. It's just something we've kind of fought all year, and I've been really proud of her.
Well, we'll pick on her first then. So, Coach kind of alluded to it. There's been some ups and downs this season. Since if you want to take the last 4 years of Alcoa, there's been some major changes. Classifications have changed. The divisions have changed. Your region has changed. Y'all are still winning. How do you all adapt to how do you all take that, what's coming at you, and just keep on winning games? How does that happen?
I think it's a lot in our culture of our team. We have a lot of discipline, and that's something we've really focused on this year. And just being ready for anything is something we've really prided ourselves on for the last 4 years. So being able to move up a classification and still win the district championship, I think, was a really big moment for all of us, especially for us seniors when we started out. And just seeing what this team has grown into and how we can adapt to these situations. I don't think we've all season had our full starting 11 together. We've had injuries, we've had illnesses, just everything under the sun basically for this team. And so this year has been a bit unorthodox, but I think it's really grown us as individuals, but also us as a team. So it's been really great to see.
Now, sometimes when that happens, when you have those things that are continually coming up and you're having to play younger players in starting positions, when you finally get everybody back together, you find you've got a really deep and talented roster. Is that kind of what you all are hoping to see in the postseason?
I think it is. We've seen just a lot of different things from different people, and what we've really grown is our depth. And so having that opportunity gives us a lot of strength when we do have our full roster. And we've had people go in and out, so we'll have one person come back and then another is out. So it's been a bit of a struggle there, but it's starting to peek through. We're starting to see our potential there, and I think we're all really excited to see where that goes.
Bianca, I can't put you on the spot because you've already been on the spot this week. And when it's a one-goal game, the keeper is under a lot of pressure. Talk about how that district championship game was for you in the net.
It was really stressful. I was kind of on the tip of my toes or edge of my seat. because it was a 1-goal game, so I knew any breakaway or anything that they had, it was kind of all on me. And so I felt a lot of the pressure there, but I was super proud of the whole entire team. I think I really saw true Alcoa soccer that when we played, and I could not have been more proud, and I was so excited back there. I was jumping up and down. We controlled the ball in the second half so much better than we have pretty much all season. I love that we were passing around them. It was really phenomenal.
Now, you're the keeper, so you're kind of you're the defensive caller there.
Yeah.
Has the defense been together, or is that another place you all have had to substitute during the season?
We had some subs because we had one injury. But I'm super proud because we had some people come off the bench that had never played defense before, and we were a very young team, but the connection and coordination between all of us is insane. I love watching them grow and communicate and learn from mistakes and get better. And I just could not be more proud of all of us and my defense. They do a very good job protecting me and getting the ball out and listening.
So they do listen.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay, that's all. I mean, sometimes you see you can see dysfunction between keepers and their defenders at times. I'm not going to call any names of some I've seen this season, but there can be disruptions. But you all have a wealth of postseason experience in the program and what you've seen. How does that translate going into region tournament for you? What region semifinals are like. How does that help? Because these are teams for a large part you've never seen before in the postseason.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of unnerving or uneasy knowing that we haven't seen them or played against them for a while or just at all. But I think we can handle anything that comes our way. I'm pretty confident in our skills and our ability to play like we know how to play and get the job done.
Coach, you guys kind of got your work cut out for you with region. What do you try to work on between now and then? Because it's not like football where you can just prepare, watch film, and kind of game plan. It's more strategic with soccer.
Well, I mean, I've been able to watch some film of Side Daisy, and we did play Signal Mountain earlier in the year, which helps. And I think playing some of those better teams that we play, we've had a lot of 1-goal losses against some bigger schools and teams that had everybody. And so I think that's kind of helped, like she's talking about, building our depth. As far as our practices leading up to region, just more keeping it, in my opinion, keeping it relaxed and just kind of working on those kind of maybe set pieces or just some ball finishing, just little things, nothing big. Because I feel like if we play to our skill, if we play to our abilities, and with everybody back, that we can win this next match, and we can make. I feel like we can make it to state if we stay focused and just play our game and not the other team's game.
Well, it's all obviously, playing behind the elementary school, the field down there, home field advantage is big. How comfortable is it to be playing, to have one to be able to host a semifinal for you guys?
I think it's such a huge asset. You are almost automatically up a goal. You know your field. You know the width. You know the depth. You know how you play. You practice on it every single day. You're super comfortable. You know where the sidelines are. Your technicality is so much better, and it's a huge win to have home field advantage.
And you get Peggy.
Yes, we get our.
That's people underestimate how big an advantage that is for the athletic trainer to be available. And I say that last night because, Donnie, we saw something we'd never seen before at a football game. They actually stopped play to have Peggy go across the field to deal with the Scott County player on the sideline. I've never seen play stop for a trainer to be moved across the field before. So shout out to her.
Exactly.
That's a lot of respect.
She's a treasure.
She is. She's awesome. We love her.
So, Coach, I'll close it off with you because we've done our own little shout out, but you all have a lot of parents, administration that become involved in not only getting you through a regular season, but when you get into postseason and you have to go through all the hosting things and the paperwork and that sort of stuff. So shout outs for, some of those folks that are helping out the soccer program this year.
Well, first of all, we have Michael Earhart, who helps a lot with setting up the fields. Wayne Drew also does that as well, and just getting ticket things ready, those kind of things. And Josh Stevens obviously helps us out as our AD, and he's really been at almost all their home games, which you don't necessarily, I mean, we go to some matches and like there's not an administrator in sight at some of the places we've gone to. And just the parents showing support. We have Cindy Kearns, one of our parents, who takes pictures. She takes, and I'm talking about like professional pictures with really nice camera, and just those different little things. We definitely feel welcome at our field. Like one of the things I didn't mention, like that you don't always think about with soccer, but it makes a big deal, is like we know the way the ball is going to roll at our field. And so, like, Lenoir City is turf, and it's fast, and it was kind of narrow, so you had to play differently versus we know how we're going to play on our field.
Well, we appreciate you coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best of luck at regionals. And, you know, state champions usually get a pass to come back. Not to put any pressure on you, but if you enjoyed the visit this morning and would like to come see us again, we try to make space for state champs. So, extra incentive if you need it.
Sounds good.
We just require you to bring the trophy with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you all for visiting. And, Mike, we'll go ahead and turn the page.
Okay, Marcus, thanks a lot. Time to turn the page and announce the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times.
For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew. And now it's time for the Goatees Sports Page Player of the Week segment with Troy Provo Heron, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 75 years. And Troy, you've got Heritage football in here this morning, and yesterday was a big day for them. They got the big win last night over Lenoir City, and they got some really good airtime on WBIR Channel 10 yesterday, and they had their camera and crew up there before the game, and it was just a real special day for them and a big win for them. And now they got another big game coming up next week. So exciting times there, huh?
And Mike, we're going to talk about all of it.
Let's do it.
We're joined by Heritage head coach Joe Ossovet, Wesley Deck, Cole McCampbell, Reese Dickey, and Zach Davidson. And Coach, I want to start with you. Just how big of a win was last night? Obviously, when you go 3 weeks without one, you kind of get a locker room that's kind of starved for one, right?
Yeah, to credit to the kids, they did a heck of a job during our bye week. Obviously, we struggled in some areas, and we concentrated on them during our bye week. And I'll say one thing about this group is they're resilient. And they did an amazing job of executing the game plan, going back to the fundamentals. Like I said, we worked in the bye week, and we needed that one last night. There are certain games that you circle throughout the season from the outcome that happened last year, and especially this one, that we need to go forward to gain some momentum with basically what is a playoff game next week. So we turned the page, headed in the right direction, and we're ready to go here in this last week. Probably one of the biggest games since I've been the head coach here at Heritage, and looking forward to it.
Guys, I want to ask you about the bye week, because when you go into a bye week with 2 straight losses, what are the things that you guys focus on, this is for each of you, that you guys focus on not only individually but as a team to kind of make sure that you get back and kind of correct some things and get back on the right side of things?
I'd say it's like a reset, because sometimes teams need a reset button and just focus on things that we haven't been able to focus on during our traditional game weeks.
You get a good amount of rest, and you get a good mental break, and then you got to really turn it back on when you come back, and just a nice reset, like he said.
It was just like a real good rest week. Kind of had to sit back a little bit, kind of think about the game plan and stuff like that. Kind of, push the aggressiveness on it. That's what I'd say.
I think it's a good opportunity to get everybody in line and straightened up. So from the past crap, it kind of straightens everybody up to get back in the better mentality.
Coach, how do you handle a bye week in a situation where your team has lost 2 in a row? Maybe it hasn't been the year that y'all expected it to be going into the season, and just kind of making sure that they get right heading into the final part of the year.
Yeah, you got to concentrate on the fundamentals. You got to concentrate on the things as you do your mid-season evaluation, the things that you're not being proficient in. We needed to shore up the special teams, we were lacking in certain areas there. And then going about your business in regards to making sure you're taking the ball away on defense and keeping the ball security. So we did a lot of those things, and obviously concentrating on the basic fundamentals. You don't have a game plan going into the week, so you're always going to rely, no matter what the system is, no matter what the game plan is, you're always going to rely back on your fundamentals, and that's basically what we concentrated on during our bye week. And obviously, you look at our bye weeks the past 2 years. Last year, had a bye week, came back, played a good game, good fundamental, sound game versus Sevier County, and won the game. This year, coming off the bye week, had a good, probably our best execution on all 3 phases of football versus Lenore City. So, and kudos to these guys for doing that.
Joe, you mentioned that. Obviously, I know you're an offensive guy, offense, all that stuff, but to score on all 3 phases of the game, just how beneficial is that to a team, and just kind of what kind of excitement does that give?
Oh, it's huge. I'm a big analytics guy, and they say if you can get a turnover for a score on special teams, you're going to win over 80% of your football games. That's what you got to kind of preach to your kids, and sometimes the kids don't see that part at the end of the rainbow. But like I said in my opening statement, this group is a resilient group. There's a different feel in this locker room than it was a year from last year. Yeah. So I'm excited what this next week is to come. I think these seniors, and especially our team, knows what's at stake. I'd be remiss if I didn't say we kind of dropped the ball last year, which we had the same opportunity staring us in the face. So we'll see what it is. We got it's a rivalry Thursday game. It's senior night. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance that's going to go on here Thursday night, and it's an exciting time to be a Heritage Mountaineer.
Guys, I'm going to get back to what Coach said just right there, but I want to talk to you guys because I've been on the sidelines for a decade now, and when offense scores touchdowns, there are certain offensive touchdowns that give you some juice, but for the most part, that's what the offense is expected to do, right? When defenses score or when special teams score, those sidelines get crazy. They go nuts. Just what was it to watch those 2 touchdowns happen yesterday, and just kind of how excited were you all for those moments?
On the defensive touchdown, I got that forced fumble. I really thought I missed the guy. I was going for that tackle. I really thought he got around me, but I reached out and I smacked it. Mm-hmm. It fell out, and my own Tegan Rulin picked it up, ran it back in. So I was pumped. Yeah.
It's great to see other guys that aren't normally on the offensive side score, and I'd say it's just a way to have more energy on the sideline, seeing other people than just offense doing what people love to do.
Yeah.
Just seeing those guys you go against in practice, they pick up a TD or get an interception. I mean, you just got to be happy for them. I mean, they work hard, they try and get it done, and they got the chance. So
I think you said it best though when you said you haven't seen a kickoff return for a touchdown Heritage in a long time. So.
I think it's a very excitement thing. It boost up the crowd and the sideline. Everybody gets that more energy, and it kind of gives you a boost in the game.
Coach, you mentioned Central from a year ago, and I was kind of in a similar situation last night when I was at Maryville and Cleveland, where they had a big game for playoff reasons, but they also had a game where they lost a game to Cleveland a year ago that broke their region record and all that stuff that they remembered.
Sure.
Obviously, this is a game for a playoff game, but it's also a situation where y'all blew a 20-point lead last year and kind of probably have felt that one for a year now. Just kind of how do you go about it, and what is the balance of not making too much of last year's game while also focusing on what's at hand for the playoffs and all that stuff this year?
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Up 16 with 6 minutes to go in the third. We got to make sure. I think we learned a great lesson last year in regards to how to finish people, take care of the football. I mean, it's tough to lose that up 16 with 6 minutes to go, but we turned the ball over 3 times. But it's a learning lesson, and I think that's going to happen when you take over a program like we took over here. To be honest with you, the focal point's going to be about us. You interviewed me 100 times. I've spoken to Deli times about it. It's a faceless opponent, and it's always going to be that way. It's always going to be us executing the game plan, be efficient, and create explosives and take the football away. And if we can do those and execute, obviously, on the special teams, if we can do that and play the game that we kind of played last night, good things will happen come Thursday night. I can promise you that.
Guys, kind of a two-part question. One, what is the biggest thing you learned from last year in that game when he talks about kind of learning how to close out games and stuff like that? And two, just how motivated are you for this one? Obviously, a lot on the line, not just because of last year, but because a win kind of put y'all in a position to make the playoffs.
Last year, I took that game personal because those turnovers came from me. So it's been on my schedule for the past year for me to get my redemption, and I'd say it taught us that we need to protect the ball when it comes down to it. But you should always protect the ball, and then we just got to finish the game and finish it like the way we start.
From a defensive standpoint for next week, my defensive line at least is extremely motivated for next week. We have a lot of good guys. We have a lot of pumped guys. Me and the other end, we've been talking about it a lot, and we're ready.
I would definitely say discipline is going to be our top thing. A lot of blown coverage last year. Kind of with that deal, just kind of want to stay disciplined, stay aggressive with our guys.
The biggest thing I learned last year was never let up. No matter how much you're up by, is never let up, because as soon as you let up, that's whenever they'll sneak by and get more points on the board.
Cole, as a defensive lineman, I got to ask you, Central kind of comes and goes as Frank Johnson does, and obviously it's a big guy to bring down and all that stuff. Just how much are you looking forward to the challenge of facing probably one of the better running backs in East Tennessee?
As Coach Oz said, it's a faceless opponent. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to work my plan. I'm going to do what I've been training for all season, all off season. I'm ready.
Coach, what does it take to flip the script from a year ago and beat Knoxville Central next Friday?
Limit the takeaways.
Yeah.
Secure the football, and like you said, be able to have the ability to gang tackle Johnson, and make them be one-dimensional. We know what they want to do. They want to showcase him and have him carry the load for them the majority of the game. We got to get hats to the football. Hopefully, create some more takeaways. Be efficient with the football when we do have it, and be us. Just go be us. When we be us, we don't press. We're tough to stop on offense, but we've kind of been a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde on that part of on that side of the football this year. But like I said, there's a different buzz in the locker room. I felt it last night. I felt it during the bye week, and our kids, I think, know what's at stake here, which I'm not so sure they knew. I mean, they kind of knew last year. Right. But I didn't feel like our preparation, our practice, where it needed to be going into the Halls game, which basically the same scenario is what it was as we move forward here in the past 10 days.
Guys, you guys could probably speak to it. Just what has been the biggest difference in that locker room the last 2 weeks?
There's no messing around anymore. There's no joking. It's everyone has one goal, one purpose, and that's like to win. To do their best, and everyone's motivated. Everyone's ready.
I'd say the goal that we made right before week 1 is still in our hands, and we're still able to accomplish that, and we can do that Thursday.
Just had to make sure we had the want. You gotta come into a game believing that you're gonna be the aggressor, that you're gonna be the winner. So that's what we've had in our mindset.
I think people kind of just straightened up and started listening to the coaches and actually believed what they had to say, and that's how they're going to take the step to get into the playoffs.
Coach, there haven't been too many times where Heritage gets picked for the Rivalry Thursday game in the last however many years. What do you tell your kids in terms of being on television, all that stuff? Does it matter? Do you even talk about it, any of that stuff?
I mean, it is a factor.
Yeah.
And I haven't even – usually we have our Sunday meetings. We put our goals up on the board and talk to them about it, but these guys will hear it firsthand. It don't matter if you're playing on 2, 4, 7. You ain't playing. There's no impact on that. It has no outcome on the game. Mm-hmm. It's got to be about going out there, executing the game plan, and doing what we do. The good thing about it though is we'll get some recognition, get some publicity, which is good for our program. Our kids deserve it. Like you said, it hasn't been done here. The past 72 hours with WBIR coming out there, coming on doing the Sports Page radio show, having the Rivalry Thursday game. It's all good. I mean, it's recruiting for our program, and we're excited about it. But when the toe hits the football, it's all going to be about business, and it don't matter who's watching. So, and that's what I'm going to tell our guys tomorrow when we have our team meeting.
Coach, I want to talk about the big picture. Obviously, but when you took over this program, it was an 0-10 season the year before, so close to making the playoffs a year ago. A win on Thursday most likely probably get you there of some sorts. Just how big would that be to be able to accomplish that feat 2 years into you taking over?
Unbelievable. It would be such an amazing accomplishment because we've come so far. Mm-hmm. I thought it was in our grasp last year, and I just, like I said, and sometimes I'm repetitive, but I didn't know if our kids understood the true ramifications of what was at stake last year. I think it's totally night and day from where it was at this point. To your point, it would be in year 2 to take this program, which I don't even know. You guys, you probably know the statistics in regards to when the last time we made the playoffs. But from a community standpoint, from the juice it would give our school, this place could be special. And I think this is just another stepping stone that we need to take to get this program where we want to take it to in the coming years. And when we look back on it, all right, it's these guys that are sitting on this table that laid the foundation of where we want to get this thing, and it would be an amazing accomplishment from where we are in a year and a half.
Coach, it's not just good for Heritage High School; it's good for Blount County schools.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. It's like I said, there's people over there from the community to the school to our administration that speaks volumes to how impactful that they've been to our football program, and that that they want to have success, and we're excited about it. And we know that we're not just playing for the 63 kids in that locker room, but the entire community and Blount County for the most part, because Heritage has been down.
As a 45-year employee of Blount County Schools, I'm excited.
Yeah, yep. Well, I appreciate that, and we look forward to the challenge on Thursday night and doing something that hasn't been done here for a long time.
Good deal.
Guys, I want to get you out of here with this, and Coach Moore touched on it a little bit there, but how much are you guys enjoying being kind of the group that's kind of changing the public opinion about Heritage? Obviously, right before Coach O took over, it was people looked at Heritage on the schedule and kind of assumed they would beat y'all, and now it kind of feels like you've played in some close games this year, you played in some close games last year. Playoffs is big, but even to this point, you guys have changed that public opinion. Just how much have y'all enjoyed kind of being a part of that process?
I've been able to enjoy it because me, Zach, and Reese were all three a part of the 0-10 season from our sophomore year, and I'd say for me, I love to be able to change and be the difference maker. Be the difference maker for Heritage football and just our community, and just be able to make that next step forward.
You know, everyone loves an underdog.
I would definitely being a part of that 0-10 season. You know, you don't understand how it feels to win, and then as soon as you win, you just keep wanting it. You just want to feel like that 24/7. So, yeah.
I think I've loved it a lot, considering like the 0-10 season. It was like one of the worst things ever. I hate losing. It's the worst thing ever. And then Coach Oz comes in. We win 4 games. Felt good. Now we're sitting on 3 wins now. All 3 games felt good when we won. But now I want more. More wins are going to be good. I think we can finish it off with wins.
Well, that's great, and we hope you guys go out there and get another one on Thursday. You know, us here at the Sports Page will be rooting for you, and hope we can come and bring you back on in a couple weeks when we're talking about playoffs.
Oh, that will be amazing. Well, let's sign. Can I sign up for that right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, we appreciate you guys having us, and appreciate everything you do for high school football. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Troy. It's time for a break, and when we return, Donnie Moore will have sports headlines, and the Boyd Sports Spotlight will be up. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
It's payday, and on payday, you want to have access to your money right away. When you enroll for direct deposit at Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union, your money comes to you with no waiting. It's the fastest and most secure way to get paid. Getting set up is easy. All you need is your account number and our routing number. Find out more at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Some restrictions apply. Ask for details.
Welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's sports headlines with Blount County Hall of Famer Donnie Moore. And Donnie, I know you got a lot going on out there in the sports world. You got anything on Taylor Swift?
Oh, there's a little bit.
On Taylor Swift?
No, not on Taylor Swift.
She gets a lot of airtime now.
She
I'll
gets
tell
too
you that.
much anyway.
Boy,
doesn't she though?
Hey, if Travis Kelce catches a 1-yard screen, they pop it up to Taylor.
Yeah,
it's like, wow.
Pan that camera up in there to that box.
I mean, every NFL report I see, pregame report, the sports, they talk
Kelsey's
about
mother.
They let you know where Taylor's at.
Yeah.
You seen Taylor lately?
I think she's only missed one game now, has she?
I think so.
Hasn't she?
I like how they think they have to point her out because she's not the tallest woman up there in the
no,
luxury suite.
absolutely.
Yeah, the NBA may be trying to find a boyfriend for her. You know, the NBA probably needs a little publicity, huh?
Yeah, right.
Well, I hope everything works out in that relationship. If it doesn't, she'll make another song out of him.
That'll be if they should happen to get married, that'll be like another Tom Brady and what's her name?
She
makes more money than he does.
She's made a fortune on songs of former boyfriends.
Well, you know, you can see what it is. You were the catch I dropped.
That's a good song.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Taylor, call me. We'll work out some on the licensing for that.
Yeah. You might get rich with that one, Marcus.
Yeah. Like that.
All right, let's do a few headlines here. 17-year-old Japanese slugger Rentaro Sasaki is planning to skip the upcoming Nippon Professional Baseball League draft and will instead come to America to attend college and play baseball. Yeah, Sasaki attended the same high school as Los Angeles Angels star Shohei Ohtani and reportedly smashed 140 homers during his prep career, which is a new Japanese high school record. He had been rated as the #1 pick in the next NPB draft. The 6'5" Sasaki's, 6'5". Isn't that pretty tall for most, I'm not trying to profile or anything right here, but isn't that pretty tall for most Japanese people? Maybe not. The 6'5" Sasaki's forte is his raw power, which grades out to a 70 on the 20 to 80 scouting scale. Scouts are also impressed with his bat speed as well as his ability to find the sweet spot of the bat. Although Sasaki has not announced his U.S. college of choice, guess which school is reported to be high on his short list? Anybody want to venture a guess?
What was the question again?
He hasn't announced his U.S. college of choice. Take a guess as to which ones to be reported as high on his short list.
I guess Tennessee.
No, it wouldn't be Tennessee, but it's in the same state.
Vanderbilt.
Boo.
He must be pretty intelligent.
Yeah.
If he wants to go to Vandy.
Must not like winning.
Baseball?
Ain't done a whole lot of winning lately.
Not lately, you're right.
Not since Tony Vitello got here.
Anyway, Olympic gymnastics champion Mary Lou Retton remains hospitalized in intensive care, fighting for her life, per her family. Her 4 daughters launched an online fundraiser on Tuesday to help pay for Retton's care because she has no medical insurance. And in the following 24 hours, nearly 5,000 people had donated over $275,000. The family's initial goal had been $50,000. Retton was the first American woman to win the Olympic all-around title at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics and became the first female athlete to appear on the cover of a Wheaties box. Fighting for her life. Get well soon, Mary Lou Retton.
Yeah, she made some appearances in some films too.
Yeah, she did.
You know,
Get
sad,
well soon.
Sad.
That
deal.
is sad. Former Major League Baseball star Steve Garvey announced this week he is entering the U.S. Senate race in California, vacated by the death of Dianne Feinstein last month. Garvey is hoping to become the first Republican, Mike, I found out, elected to the Senate from the Golden State since 1988. Garvey, who is 74, played 14 seasons for the LA Dodgers, winning the 1974 National League MVP award and helping lead the team to a 1981 World Series championship. Excuse me. He then played 5 years for the San Diego Padres, leading them to the World Series in 1984. When making his Senate announcement on Tuesday, Garvey said, this is a quote, "It's time to get back in the game."
Good luck.
Yeah, because that race is crowded. There's a lot of people in that Senate race out there.
Yeah.
Lots of Democrats and a few Republicans.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot more money than he made in his career to win that race.
You got that right. In California, you're right. A.J. Allmendinger, 42, won at the Charlotte Roval. They call that a Roval, Mike, because is it a combination of a road course and an oval?
I guess.
Must be. At the Charlotte Roval for the first time since 2021 Sunday with, he said, the best drive of my life. Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace were eliminated from the playoffs. And tomorrow begins the round of 8 at Las Vegas Speedway.
I got something to add to that a little bit. Kyle Larson was in Indianapolis last week and passed his rookie test at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and he's all set to go next May.
Nice.
Yeah, last week.
Larson's back.
And he passed it with flying colors. So that'll add a lot to the Indianapolis 500 to have a NASCAR driver in there next year. A lot of enthusiasm.
It will. That'll be good.
I like to see that.
I do too. A few crossovers. Well, the International Olympic Committee begins voting this week on whether or not to allow any or all of 5 new sports into the 2028 Games in Los Angeles. That's in 2028. They are, number 1, baseball/softball, because women play softball. Number 2, lacrosse. Number 3, squash. You ever played squash?
I've eaten it.
I have too, but they have squash courts over Tennessee.
Yeah, that's a racquetball deal. Looks like a badminton.
The ball's a little smaller, and the court and the racket is longer.
I've seen it played. I've never played it, but
I used to watch them play over UT.
But it looks like a badminton racket they use.
Number 4, cricket. Marcus, you said they have about 5 days to play that game, don't they?
I assume there's an abbreviated version. Otherwise, they're going to need to start the 28 Olympics like next week.
Could be, yeah. And number 5, flag football. Flag football. And that one is backed by the NFL because the NFL's been trying to spread American football for 20 years. So, who knows? Any or all of those sports may be a part of the 2028
and
Olympics.
Baseball and softball, they keep on popping in and off because they've just never gained the permanent status to be added to the Olympics ongoing.
Yeah.
So, I think we went 2 Olympics without, and then softball was brought back on.
So they may or may not get enough votes to become part of the 2028 Olympics.
And when it comes to IOC voting, nobody wants to look at that too closely anymore just because it's been so ugly in the past.
Yeah, true. A few dates. On this day, October the 14th, a few happenings here. 1962 on this day, Houston Oiler George Blanda. Remember that name?
Yeah, played forever.
He sure did. Played till he was like 80.
Yeah. He got done at quarterback, started kicking. Extra points.
George Blanda threw for 6 touchdowns versus the New York Titans in an Oiler win, 56-17. 6 touchdowns. 1973 on this day, 42-year-old future Hall of Famer Willie Mays got his last career hit. When the New York Mets beat the A's, of which Willie was a member of, 10-7 in a World Series Game 2 in Oakland. 1979 on this day, nobody will remember this name, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Oh, who's that?
Wayne Gretzky scores his first National Hockey League goal. 1979. 1985 on this day, the New York Jets retired Joe Namath's number 12 jersey on Monday Night Football when the Jets beat the Miami Dolphins 23-7. I bet Howard Cosell was a part of that. You think?
You know, you brought up Gretzky. Do you remember that they had one very brief season where Gretzky and Bo Jackson and Michael Jordan were on a cartoon, and they were like, it was kind of like a Scooby-Doo type thing, and they were like hitting the bad guys with basketballs, and Gretzky would keep hitting them over the head with his stick and knocking them out.
That's cool.
Things that they used to put on and call public television.
I know, really. 1989. I didn't know this. You may remember this, Mike. The school was Texas A&I. You remember Texas A&I? Small school, apparently. Guy by the name of Johnny Bailey sets the NCAA single-season rushing record. He rushed for 6,085 yards that season. 6,000, over 6,000 yards.
They must have had some real innovative scheduling that year.
Yeah.
At school.
What is
I
that?
don't remember that.
And they must have handed
500
it to him
yards a game?
every game.
I mean, that's not too far off from what Derrick Henry did in Florida.
Good
when he played in that
grief.
small classification in Florida.
He spent 50% of his time on the field and 50% in the whirlpool. Huh?
I mean, every game they must have handed it to him.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Well, that makes the quarterback's job pretty easy, doesn't it? And the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Throw no passes. It must have been Bailey to the left, Bailey to the right, Bailey up the middle.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's alternating. That's better than Scott did last night.
Yeah, no kidding.
They just ran left for 45 plays.
Yeah. And I got one birthday, Mike. This was in honor of you. One birthday, 1910. John Wooden was born on this day.
Wow.
And he was born in, what city, what town he was born in?
Martinsville, Indiana.
Well, this says Hall, Indiana.
Yeah, well, that's pretty close.
That's close.
Yeah, he grew up in Martinsville.
Grew up in Martinsville.
Went to Martinsville High School and was in. They were in the state. I think they won 2 state championships at Martinsville, and he went on to Purdue and played at Purdue and was an All-American player at Purdue. So he's one of those coaches that was not only a great coach but was also a great player.
Yep.
And of course, he lived to be 99 years old, and he coached at Indiana State and he coached at South Bend Central High School, in Indiana, and made the journey all the way out to UCLA, and his wife, they had some doubts, going all the way out from Indiana because that's where their roots were. He grew up on a farm in Indiana.
One of the greatest coaches in history right there.
Yeah. He was with us a long time, 99 years.
Offered you a scholarship.
He sure did. Yeah, 1969. Yeah,
wow,
I flew out there and visited the school and met with him. And
they gave you the royal treatment, didn't they?
Yeah, and I found him just a really great individual. He sat me down. He was very honest and said, "Hey, look, we'd love to have you come here to UCLA. We feel like we can make you an outstanding player and you can get a great education here, but." He says, if you don't come here, said, best of luck to you wherever you go, and just remember that, times are going to be rough wherever you go. There's going to be times where things are not going to be as you think, and you're going to have down times, but you need to stick with it because I've seen so many people that transferred to other schools and they just don't work out. Said, stick it out because when you make the decision to go to college, that's the right decision. You stick with it. And I'll never forget that.
So he shot you straight, didn't he?
He sure did. And I saw after that, I saw Denny Crum in the airport out in L.A. And, and he, my sophomore year, and he was real cordial with me and said, hey, Coach Wooden and I are real happy that you're doing well at Tennessee. We're keeping up with you and keep up the good work. And then he said, he says, if you'd have come out here, you'd have been playing. Our guards are just not playing worth a crap. And I thought, yeah, you got Henry Bibby and John Vallerly. And I said, I think you'll get over that pretty quick. But anyway, what a great man he was. And, of course, they remember him a lot in Indiana. He's a legend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I'm glad our paths crossed. Special memory.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's it for our sports headlines. I'm going to kick it back to you, Mike, for the Boyd Sports Spotlight now.
Yeah, now the Boyd Spotlight, it shines on the SEC schedule, so I'm going to bring in Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Troy Provo-Heron, and got some big games in the Southeastern Conference today, and I'm going to start with Missouri up at number 24, Kentucky. Troy, Missouri dropped out of the top 25 there last week by losing to LSU, and that game's at 7:30 on the SEC Network, and Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite. And both these teams have only lost one game on the season, so this is a big game. You're talking about a turning point that could turn your season. This may be the game, but Missouri, had the game in hand against LSU last week. Let slip away right at the end. Their defense is, giving them problems. They score a lot of points. Kentucky, on the other hand, they were thumped down at Georgia. They went in there with high expectation, and they didn't play well at all. And And the Cats have not shown a lot of offense. So, you got a team that can score a lot of points. You got another team that's a little bit more balanced that has some trouble scoring. So, what do you think, Troy? Can Missouri pull off the road win here today at Kentucky?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that Missouri goes in there and gets it done. Obviously, Missouri's defense isn't very good, but really Kentucky doesn't defend the pass particularly well. It's what Missouri wants to do, and if you're talking about getting into a shootout, how do you feel any confidence about Kentucky winning in a shootout? I mean, their quarterback play is just so bad.
And the comments that Mark Stoops made last week about Georgia bought some pretty good players, but everybody's buying players. What kind of comment was that? Huh?
I think he
was he just upset.
He backed
off
of that Thursday,
but then don't say it.
Yeah.
Thursday. Why did it take him so long?
I agree, because Tuesday he doubled down on it, and Thursday he backed off of it.
Yeah, well, he's a good fodder next week for maybe a top 10 list on how they can raise some money up there at Kentucky to up their NIL thing. So,
I think, and this is not to be mean, so Mark Stoops, if you're listening, I know you're not, but Mark Stoops has to realize that he has signed a long-term thing to be at Kentucky, and your ceiling at Kentucky is 8-9 wins. Yeah. You're not going to beat Georgia. Not on a consistent basis. You're not going to beat Alabama at a consistent basis. You're not going to beat Tennessee at a consistent basis. If he's not okay with that, then he should have left the last 2 coaching cycles when people wanted him.
Yeah,
that's just the truth of the matter.
Yep. Hey, Florida's at South Carolina, and South Carolina is a 2.5-point favorite. That game's at 3:30 on the SEC Network. Donnie, the Gators are 1-5 on the road, 1-5 under Coach Billy Napier. And last week they've gone under sleeping therapy. He thinks that they're not doing well on the road because they're not getting enough sleep. And the Florida fans down there got a new name for him. They're calling him Billy Napier. So I don't know whether sleep's the answer or not to the troubles on the road. But they're 1-5, and South Carolina is much better at home. I'd feel better about South Carolina if they was playing at night. But they're beat up a little bit. They're tougher at night over there than they are in the daylight. But big game here for both of these teams in the SEC East. One of them's they're heading in the wrong direction if they lose this game today. Huh?
Yeah, they are. That's, these two teams are hard to predict. Both of them are.
Yeah.
But they're neither team is a good football team.
Yeah, I think both these teams, you're looking at 5-5
yeah,
at
I
best.
think they're both average.
And maybe with South Carolina's schedule, with what they've got left, they could very easily end up, I don't know, 5-7 maybe, or whatever.
They could.
Not be bowl eligible. And of course, they went into the year with high expectations there, and it's not materialized.
They did. I'm going to take Florida.
Auburn is at LSU. LSU is number 22 in the country. They're 11.5-point favorite. Auburn they're 3-2 overall, 0-2 in the league, and LSU's 4-2 and 3-1. LSU beat Missouri last week, but Troy, they were fortunate in doing that. But they're putting up some huge numbers offensively, over 80 points in the last 2 weeks. They found some offense. Now they're also having some trouble defensively, but when you're putting up 40, 50 points, heck, which would you rather have, a real good defense or 50 points a game? You see what I'm saying? Huh? I mean, it's not hard to answer that. And their offense won that game last week. I mean, that game was right down to the wire. Next thing you know, they won the game by what, 2 touchdowns?
Hey,
Look,
we're here in Tennessee, and so we're not too far removed from the Jeremy Pruitt era. We were supposed to have a good defense. It wasn't a good defense, and we had an offense that couldn't get a first down.
Yeah.
So at least, you know what? It's hard to say that somebody's doing something wrong when you're really, really good on one side of the ball. At least you're doing something right.
Yeah, and look at Auburn. They're totally non-existent on the offensive side of the ball.
Auburn seem like a boat without a rudder. After everything that happened with Harsin last year and everything that's going on this year, that seems like a program that's going nowhere fast. That's got to be tough.
They're in Tigerland at 7 o'clock tonight, Marcus, and that's not a good place to be down there in Tiger Stadium.
Oh, it's a lot of fun
on a Saturday
night. It's not a
when
place
everybody's
to play.
Been drinking since 7:30 in the morning down there and eating shrimp, huh?
It's a lot of. It can be a lot of fun.
And gumbo.
But, I think this is much a test for LSU because they did their bounce-back games, so now are you going to be consistent? Because it was just going to be another drop-off where you end up struggling because you struggled last week. I mean, you basically put yourself in a hole in the first quarter and spent
the whole game getting out.
Basically the whole game getting out, and then got a little bit of icing at the very end.
Yep.
So you came away with the win. So are you going to be back on track, or are you going to still be struggling? And despite having some of the best quarterback play in the conference.
Yeah. Arkansas is at number 11. Alabama. Alabama's 5-1 and 3-0 in the league, and Arkansas is 2-4 and 0-3. And that game's at 12 o'clock on ESPN, and the Tide is a 19.5-point favorite. Troy, Alabama, last week, Milroe, their quarterback, 323 passing yards. He's a work in progress, isn't he? I mean, he really is. They didn't do much with their rushing game, but they're sort of like a lot of teams. One side of the ball seems to be making a difference for them, and that's the defensive side of their end, and that's what's keeping them around and winning football games for them right now.
Yeah, I think, and I think like you said, I think you could say that about a lot of teams. And I think that's what's kind of contributing to it being such a down year in the conference is that there isn't a team that, maybe with the exception of Georgia, that just you feel confident about when both sides of the ball touch the field. You have teams that when they're out there on offense, you feel really good about them scoring, but then when they go out there on defense, you know that they're going to give up those points right back, and then there's vice versa where you feel like they're not going to score, but the other team's not going to score. It's part of the reason why the SEC games have been so fun to watch this year for the most part, but it's also why you look around and you say, it's not the SEC we've known for the last 10 years, 15 years.
But, if you look at the top 10, is the top 10 the same top 10 as we've seen in years past? I don't know. I don't know. Are the teams as good? There just seems to be a lot more parity to me in college football and in the Southeastern Conference than there's been.
And I do wonder how much of that is NIL related and stuff like that, where kids maybe don't feel like they have to go to an Alabama to – have their best possible situation. Now you can go to a Purdue or you can go to an Arkansas and make some money and get seen because everybody's on television now. That doesn't matter. So if you can do the things where it's hey, I don't this isn't the end all be all for me anymore. There's 5 schools. If I don't get there, then my chances of furthering this are lessened. I'm not saying they're non-existent, but they're lessened. I think that maybe be the cause of it, and maybe that's one of the. I know we have these arguments at NIL all the time, and there's obviously the pros and the cons of it. Maybe that's one of the pros is that on any given Saturday you feel like there's not that dominant team, and that you could have a good game anywhere you go.
Yeah, Marcus, we've said this before, but poor old Arkansas, are they going to get back home or not? They're pretty road weary, aren't they?
They are, but it's going to be kind of what Donnie and I are talking about with Alcoa. They're going to have this long streak of playing road games, but on the back end of their schedule, they're home almost the entire month of November.
Yeah. And in Tennessee's just the opposites. They're on the road here. After this week, they're at Alabama, and then they're at Kentucky, and then you squeeze UConn in there, and then they're back on the road again at Missouri.
I got tickets to that UConn game. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, you should be. You're helping them pay that $1.5 million or whatever they're paying them to come in here with that ticket. But number 1 Georgia is at Vanderbilt, 12 o'clock on CBS. And
what else? What you ain't got to say anything
I
else,
don't know
Mike.
what
Just
you
let
can
it go.
say about that right there. Vanderbilt 2-5, 0-3 in the league, and in Georgia 6-0, 3-0, 32.5-point favorite.
Vanderbilt looked as bad as they looked all season, and Georgia looked as good as they looked all season last week. So this is
Marcus, if you're going to try and sit here and convince me that it's a trap game, we've been calling
I'm not
Vanderbilt
saying
a
it's
trap
game.
We've been calling Vanderbilt a trap game for 10 years.
It's not a trap game. It's a crap game.
It's a crap game.
It might be like
I'm just saying
it might be like
you've got 2 teams on
Alcoa
different
versus Scott
extremes.
County.
Yeah.
And it looks like it'll be ugly. I can't believe it's on CBS.
Yeah.
I can't either.
Yeah. Hey, we got any time?
We got about 1 minute.
Oh, good. I want to talk a little bit about the top 25. Georgia is number 1, Michigan number 2, Ohio State number 3, Florida State 4, Oklahoma 5, Penn State 6, Washington 7, Oregon 8, Texas 9, and Southern California 10. Marcus, only one SEC team in there, which, in years past, that hadn't been the case.
It's 5
Georgia.
teams in the SEC. It was 5 teams in the top 10 in years past.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
what I'm saying, only Georgia's in there now, and this is top heavy with Big 10 and Big 12. And I think the Big 12 is a little bit.
But you're going to see the cannibalization. It starts today with Oregon playing Washington.
Yeah.
You're going to see some of that stuff even out, and you're going to see Alabama's probably going to climb back in there unless something happens.
But if you look at the top 25, the SEC's got 6 teams in the top 25. The Pac-12's got 7. The Big 12's got 4. The ACC's got 5, and the Big 10's just got 3. So that tells you from top to bottom which leagues are strong, from in your divisions from top to bottom, and how much parity you got in those leagues by looking at them in the top 25. The Big 10, Marcus, not so much, with just 3 being Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State.
Well, I mean, it's the 3 that we're used to,
Yeah,
and Wisconsin's not in a good year. So
yeah, and thank goodness it's going to get a little stronger next year when those Pac-12 teams, move on into the big. Well, I think everybody's going to get a little bit stronger. Texas and Oklahoma, people around the SEC were saying, boy, we can't wait to get Texas and Oklahoma in here. They're in for a rude awakening, and look what they're doing. They're prepping for the SEC this year. So that's going to be real interesting when they get in next year. Time for a break, and when we return, it's the Bowl Predictions segment. You're listening to the GoTee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Blue Tick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Blue Tick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Blue Tick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland, excellence in service. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net.
Your newspaper.
Hey, welcome back to the Blue Tick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's bowl predictions. So I'm going to bring back in Marcus Fitzsimmons, Donnie Moore, and Troy Provo-Heron. And we're going to start right up in South Bend. And I can't figure this one out. But
I can't either, Mike. It don't make no dang sense.
You got number 10 Southern Cal at 6-0, at number 21 Notre Dame at 4-2, and they got Notre Dame at a 2.5-point favorite. Southern California, I think they went into triple overtime last week out on the coast and barely escaped. And of course Notre Dame, I don't know what's wrong with the Irish offense. Sam Hartman started off strong, but I don't know whether they're beat up or what.
He hasn't thrown for 200 yards in like 4 straight games.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Sputtering.
The offensive line protection for him is absolutely horrendous. It was against Louisville, but they had Duke and they had Louisville, and they lucky to beat Duke, lucky to get out of there. They took a last-minute drive in order to escape there, and in Louisville last week they just didn't show up at all.
Pummeled them.
There at Louisville, and so now you go back home and Notre Dame's not in a league, so they're really just playing
for the playoff.
They're just playing for a bowl right now with 2 losses.
Basically.
I mean, that'd be really. I don't see them getting in with 2 losses, but they do. They have been playing some ranked teams, which helps their RPI rating. But the only thing I can figure out, you asked me why they were 2.5-point favorite. I looked it up. The movie Rudy came out in theaters 30 years ago today, so I assume that's why they're a 2.5-point favorite.
It's as good as reason as any.
That's the only thing I could come up with.
Works for me.
The way they've been playing.
So you're picking?
I am picking. I'm picking Southern California.
Okay.
They score a lot of points. I mean, I don't know if Notre Dame can get into a shootout.
I think it's just odd. Like,
if Notre Dame can run the ball and control, the clock and that type of thing, and keep Southern Cal's offense off of the field, then maybe that's where it's going to be. But that's not been. They don't have that the last couple of weeks. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, I read a story yesterday about some NFL scout saying that Caleb Williams might be the best quarterback prospect in like the last 30, 40 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And look, I don't take too much stock from scouts. I think sometimes they don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. But this one don't make any sense. Give me the Trojans.
Okay. Marcus, you like going against the norm. You going to take the Irish?
I'm actually going to go with the line. There's some reason because they're – when is the last time an undefeated USC team was the underdog?
Yeah, I don't get it.
So you're taking Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I'm taking the Trojans outright by about double digits.
How about you, Donnie Moore?
USC.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
And that ain't South Carolina.
No. Texas A&M at number 20, Tennessee. Tennessee is a 3-point favorite. I'll start with you, Troy.
I think it's going to be a shootout, but I'll take I don't know. 3's a lot. 3's a lot.
That's just the home field advantage, Troy.
Give me Tennessee. I pick them almost every week. I'll pick them this week.
Yeah, you're pretty much orange and white in about every sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus.
Oh, you know me. I can't pick Tennessee. We're going to take the Aggies.
All right, Marcus is.
What's the opposite of orange and white on the color spectrum?
Donnie Moore.
Since the line's just 3.5, I'm going to take Tennessee. Yeah.
Donnie's got Tennessee. I'm going to take Texas A&M. And I've gone with Tennessee all year long, but I'm taking Texas A&M and the points and their band today.
Take the band.
Yeah, I'm taking it all today. And we'll see what happens over there, but I just think
I see Tennessee winning by like 2.
I've been in these situations when teams have come.
That could happen.
I just see with teams coming off a loss like that, and their backs are up against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's just it's hard, and they've got that balanced attack, and their defense is so good.
Yeah,
it could happen.
I hope not. But I'm going to go with the Aggies. Number 8, Oregon at 5-0, and Marcus, this is the one you were talking about. Number 8, Oregon 5-0 is at number 7, Washington 5-0, and Washington's a 3-point favorite out there. Who you got?
I'm taking Washington. I think this is the first. This has been a great rivalry game, but I think Washington can equal Oregon's firepower, and I think Washington's defense is better.
Donnie?
I'm taking the Tennessee connection right there, too. I'm taking Michael Penix Jr. and the Huskies.
Yeah.
Washington beat basically this exact same Oregon team last year at Oregon, at home. I think Washington's better than they were a year ago. Personally, I think Washington might be the best team in the country. So I'm going to take Washington, but I'm not willing to say that.
And you're not concerned.
I'm not sure that I'm willing to say it. They're the best team in the country.
But you said
as of today,
he said might.
I think that I might pick Washington to win the national
title. He
title.
just put the Kentucky
and
rule
this
out
is
there.
A guy
if you didn't want to
that
say it, don't say it.
Absolutely thought the Pac-12 was worthless.
Michael Penix, man.
Last
Lucky
year,
lefty.
he thought the Pac-12. What are they even playing football out there for?
Lucky lefty.
Now he's on the other side.
I thought the Pac-12 had imploded.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about this.
Hey, number 25 Miami of Florida, 4-1 is at number 12 North Carolina, 5-0, and then the Tar Heels are a 2.5-point favorite. I'm taking the Tar Heels primarily because last week Miami didn't practice. They just brought their quarterback out to take a knee. in practice, and they didn't even dress out. They haven't had much field time this week. And
Mike, I didn't.
So I'm taking the Tar Heels. And Troy, would you explain that last what was it, 36 seconds against Georgia Tech last week?
Here's the thing, right?
I'm having a hard time figuring that out.
I grew up a Hurricane fan, so there's a small part of me that really still loves the Hurricanes. I think I've become more of a Tennessee fan as I've aged and then lived here longer. But that was just so painful to watch. It hurt me deep down in my soul to just watch a coach just take his brain out of his ear and throw it in the garbage. I mean, you can't make that kind of stuff up. And so if that's your head coach, if those are your assistant coaches that you got, and nobody on the headset said, hey, just take a knee. Just take a knee. Please just take a knee. Yep. I can't pick you. I'm picking the Tar Heels.
Yeah, and I'm thinking on that. I'm thinking on that deal right there, and I'm thinking who made the worst decision? Not taking a knee right there, or Notre Dame saying, hey, Ohio State, we'll take you with 10 out there on the goal line. We don't need 11. We have no respect for you at all. We're throwing 10 out there. We're throwing 10 out there on the field. So I don't know. Marcus, who you got?
I'm going with Miami.
All right.
I got the Heels.
All right.
Marcus believes in the comeback story.
Yeah, and Donnie.
It's good for him.
And all right. We got time for one more?
Got one more, right quick.
All right, let's do Missouri at Kentucky. We've already talked about them a little bit. Kentucky's a 2.5-point favorite. Marcus, who you got?
I'm going to do Kentucky.
All right.
My underdog card is going to stay
Tigers.
strong.
I got, okay, Donnie. And I've got Missouri.
Brady Cook cooks, Missouri Tigers.
All right. They score a lot of points. I like teams that score a lot of points.
I do too.
Yeah, okay. All right, got a whistle over there this week? All right, we've been absent with the whistle, but we got it today. All right, that'll do it for today's edition of the GoTee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of the Blue Tick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo-Heron, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the GoTee Sports Page. The best in local sports since